In an era of rapid technological advancement, people are increasingly swept into the whirlwind of modern solutions aimed at achieving financial freedom, personal success, or inner fulfillment. Many become engrossed in chasing business strategies, digital tools, and self-development courses, hoping to quickly attain accomplishments. However, an undeniable reality is that many still fall into a state of stagnation. The more they strive, the further the results seem to slip away. This raises a crucial question. Are we seeking solutions in the wrong places? Perhaps the problems people face today, inner limitations, fear of failure, feelings of helplessness in life, are not new problems but old ones that have existed through thousands of years of human history. Therefore, what we truly need is not a new solution, but an ancient one, which humanity has discovered, practiced, and passed down through generations. Since ancient times, great civilizations such as Egypt, India, China, and Greece have preserved profound spiritual and philosophical knowledge about humans and the cosmos. One of the important principles deeply understood by these ancient traditions is, all reality originates from the mind. In other words, humans are not merely beings living in objective reality but co-creators of that reality through their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Therefore, the solution to transforming life does not come from manipulating or controlling the external world, but from transforming the inner world, through adjusting perception, emotions, and mental imagery. One of the oldest and most effective tools to realize this transformation is creative visualization. In Taoism, merging with the Tao does not come from forced effort, but from contemplation and harmony with the natural flow. In Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical tradition, people use meditation and inner imagery to connect with God. In Hermetic philosophy, the foundation of many Western spiritual principles, the phrase, as within, so without, clearly states the decisive role of the mind in shaping reality. Indian yogis thousands of years ago also used visualization as a method to master life energy, activate awakening centers, and manifest latent abilities. The common thread among these traditions is that they do not seek answers externally, but turn inward. They believe that when a person can vividly imagine what they desire and feel it authentically as if it has already happened, that person gradually adjusts their thoughts, emotions, and actions to align with that image, and thus, a new reality is formed. This is not a superstitious act but a regulatory mechanism. Similar to a broadcasting antenna, people synchronize themselves with the frequency of the experiences they want to manifest. Today, when people face seemingly new problems, such as financial anxiety, career disorientation, and lack of life meaning, their core essence remains the same inner crises that have existed for ages. Therefore, an effective solution does not lie in doing more or finding newer things, but in returning to the ancient truth. Inner transformation is the key to unlocking outer change. Regularly visualizing a clear goal, combined with positive emotions and firm belief, helps people reprogram outdated mental systems, overcome invisible limitations imposed by society and past experiences, and gradually build the desired reality. Blank. Blank. The ancient origin of visualization, when inner imagery is the language of the universe. In modern times, Visualization, or creative imagining, is often mentioned as a contemporary psychological tool applied by self-development practitioners, athletes, and entrepreneurs to program the subconscious, boost performance, and achieve goals. However, very few know that visualization is not a new invention. On the contrary, it is an ancient technique, an essential part of the mystical wisdom heritage of ancient civilizations. Thousands of years ago, humans recognized that mental images are not mere imagination, but a form of energetic force capable of shaping reality. Mystical traditions worldwide have profound records about the power of visualization. In Hermetic philosophy, which laid the foundation for many Western ideas about the cosmos and humanity, there exists an immutable principle: as within, so without. According to this principle, the inner world of a person is the map for the external world. That which is repeatedly and emotionally impressed in the mind gradually becomes tangible reality. Visualization in Hermeticism is not merely a technique but a sacred act by which humans synchronize with the All, a mystical space containing all possibilities of existence. Similarly, in Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical system, visualization and meditation are essential tools that help people connect with God, Ein Sof, and ascend higher levels of consciousness on the tree of life. Kabbalistic sages believe that abstract thought, symbolic imagery, and inner light are ways humans communicate with the divine realm and transform their personal reality. A powerful visualization helps the practitioner not only transcend ego limitations but also alter the very nature of the universe surrounding them. In the East, visualization also appeared early within spiritual and philosophical systems. In Taoism, practitioners use inner vision, looking inward, to imagine the flow of qi, energy, the currents circulating in the body, thus harmonizing mind and health. In India, the ancient yoga system teaches that humans can activate Kundalini energy, the sacred power dormant at the base of the spine, by visualizing light moving through chakras, step by step opening higher awareness. In Bhakti and Raja Yoga schools, images of deities, mandalas, or light symbols are used as tools to focus the mind and generate vibrations in harmony with the universe. The common understanding among these traditions is the vibrational nature of reality. Every thought, feeling, or mental image carries a certain frequency. When a person continually focuses on a positive visualization, such as a better version of themselves, a fulfilled goal, or a state of happiness, they gradually tune in to a corresponding timeline. Like a TV antenna that can only receive signals correctly when synchronized in frequency. Humans must align their thoughts, emotions, and mental images with the reality they desire to live in. What is special about visualization is that it does not require academic knowledge or modern technology. Everyone has the ability to imagine, feel, and sense, meaning we all already possess this marvelous toolkit. Just by practicing regularly, intentionally, and combined with authentic emotions, visualization becomes the bridge between what exists and what is latent. Thus, when reconsidered, visualization is not just a modern psychological technique but an ancient language of the soul, used by enlightened cultures to interact with the deepest essence of the cosmos. In today's noisy and rational world, perhaps what we need is not more data, but to relearn how to see through the eyes of the mind. Then, humans will not only live but create. Not merely exist but unlock limitless potentials. As happened during the glorious epochs of human spiritual history. Blank. Blank. A key discovery in the human journey of consciousness awakening is realizing that reality is not entirely objective and random but constructed from signals emitted by the mind, through thoughts, emotions, and especially inner imagery. Among the methods to program a new reality, visualizing, creative visualization, is one of the most powerful techniques helping humans shift from a limited current state to an ideal timeline where their desires have been fulfilled. Visualizing is not mere daydreaming. It is an active process of shaping the future by choosing the reality timeline we want to live in. Through feeling, imagining, and pre-experiencing what we want to achieve, the universe we live in has countless parallel possibilities, like movie scripts waiting to be broadcast. By focusing on one specific timeline through repeated visualization, it is like adjusting our own frequency to synchronize with the corresponding version of reality. This principle resembles how a radio or TV operates. There is no need to create a new channel. Just tune in to the right frequency. If the mind repeatedly pictures images of lack, helplessness, or failure, the person locks into corresponding experiences, and the external reality reflects that inner state continuously. Conversely, when a person vividly imagines a goal already realized, such as a dream job, specific income, or a fulfilled life, and simultaneously feels the real emotions tied to it, the universe responds by rearranging circumstances to match that inner state. The manifestation process through visualization involves two core elements: goal visualization and process visualization. Goal visualization is imagining the final outcome, the completed state. For example, not just saying, "I want to succeed," but seeing oneself living in the dream house, signing a major contract, or traveling widely thanks to passive income. The more specific the image and the more intense the emotion, the deeper the effect. When we live ahead in the mind what has not yet happened in reality, we send a signal to the universe: "I am ready." Process visualization is often overlooked but extremely important. It involves imagining the practical steps we will take, such as learning a new skill, diligently writing blogs, posting videos, or building positive relationships. Visualizing the whole process helps the mind get used to progress, creates trust that the goal is achievable, and eliminates procrastination due to fear. Instead of being vague, we begin to see the next small step clearly and willingly act inspired. Along with images and emotions, an indispensable factor for manifestation through visualization is clear intention. This is not forcing or controlling but an inner certainty that what we visualize will become reality, regardless of how exactly it will happen. Intention acts as a guiding force, aligning mind and actions, helping us naturally attract opportunities, decisions, and inspirations suited to the chosen goal. When a person affirms, "I will have that. It is on its way to me," they shift from lack to possession, and this is what creates the magic of manifesting. The power of visualization does not lie in supernatural magic but in creating unity among thought, feeling, and action. When a person continuously sees and feels the ideal version of life, They start acting consistently with that image. They speak, think, decide, and behave as if it has already happened. This causes reality not to be something that happens randomly, but becomes a deliberate creation of an awakened mind. Blank underscore blank. After clearly defining the goal visualization. Understanding the necessary steps, process visualization. And establishing firm intention for realization. The next and decisive step is to visualize and embody the ideal version of oneself. Because you do not get what you want, you get what matches who you are. Every timeline corresponds to a version of you. To change reality, you need to change the inner version, the person you embody each day. The idea of the ideal self is not an illusion or fantasy. It is a guiding model, the embodiment of your highest potential achievable in a specific phase. This person is not somewhere far away but already within you. Like an upgrade waiting to be activated. When you clearly visualize that version, you not only have a goal to aim for but also a mirror to reflect on your current thinking, emotions, and behaviors. The process of visualizing the ideal self begins by asking, if I have achieved my desired goal, who am I? This is the moment to deeply imagine. How does that person think? Feel. What habits do they have? How do they dress? How do they speak? And what principles guide their decisions? Let your mind freely create a detailed portrait. The clearer it is, the easier it is to synchronize. You may start with 3 basic elements. 1. Core strengths and qualities, superpowers. List 5 prominent traits your ideal version possesses. For example, strong discipline, confident communication, adaptability, strategic thinking, or deep gratitude. These are the abilities you need to cultivate to evolve into that version. 2. Habits and lifestyle, daily habits. Imagine how that version starts the day. What do they do after waking? What do they eat? What do they spend time on? If you want financial success, does your ideal self track finances each morning? Read books, meditate, or exercise? Small habits are the pivot of great transformation. 3. Identity and style. Identity and style. How does that person dress? What energy do they communicate? How do they stand, walk, speak, and smile? You don't need lavish spending to play that version, but you must express yourself consistently with the beliefs you nurture. When you dress, behave, and speak like your ideal self, you send a strong signal to your subconscious. I am that person. The special thing is, you don't need to wait to become that person before acting. Instead, acting each day as if you already are that person helps you synchronize with the timeline where that version exists. Whenever facing choices, ask, what would my ideal self decide in this situation? When working, ask, how would the person who achieved the goal act while doing this? This is the art of intentional role-playing, similar to method actors fully embodying their characters. You are performing your best self, not to fake it but to activate your potential code. Although it may feel forced at first, over time it becomes habit. Then you no longer act, you become that person. Most importantly, visualizing the ideal self is not for comparison or self-pressure but to connect with your higher self, the part of you that has vision, courage, wisdom, and firm faith. When you live according to that direction, reality naturally adjusts to reflect the person you are becoming. Blank blank. In the transformative journey through visualization, the final and most crucial stage is embodiment. Embodiment is the point where imagination no longer stays in mental images or fleeting feelings but becomes your vivid behavior, specific decisions, and energy expressed in every moment of life. Embodiment is the shift from knowing to being. Not just thinking about the ideal self but living as if you already are that version, right now. If visualization helps us set goals, outline the path, and imagine the ideal person we want to become, embodiment is the consistent action expressing that new identity. Embodiment is not pretending or acting an ideal image, but behaving congruently with the new self, where you merge with the timeline chosen through visualization. The embodiment process starts with the simplest daily actions. Every task, no matter how small, is an opportunity to ask yourself, how would my ideal self do this? It could be how you write an email, respond to messages, organize your workspace, care for your body, or communicate with others. From your posture, gaze, tone of voice to decisions in difficult moments, all become spaces expressing your ideal self. Many believe that only after success do they become confident, decisive, and happy, but the reality is the opposite. Only when you act with confidence, decisiveness, and happiness do you create the reality that leads to success. You don't have and then are, but you are to have. This requires a conscious choice to behave, think, and feel as if you already are the person you want to become, starting today. Embodiment also strongly manifests in your decision-making. Every choice opens a different timeline. When facing crossroads, ask yourself, which path would my ideal self choose? This question serves as your inner compass, helping you avoid being led by temporary emotions or unconscious fears, and to make decisions aligned with long-term growth. When you decide as your successful version would, you have stepped one foot into that reality. A profound principle of embodiment is, emotion creates frequency, action maintains frequency. No matter how strong your visualization and feelings are, if your daily actions come from fear, procrastination, or old habits, you will broadcast out of sync with your desired reality. Therefore, embodiment is how you keep the high frequency of your ideal mindset through intentional actions. Over time, this creates an upward spiral. The more you live as your ideal version, the more you feel truly that person, and reality increasingly reflects it clearly. Blank. This process is not always easy. Sometimes, you may feel like you are faking it, not truly believing in yourself. But that is natural. Action comes before belief. Belief grows as you witness your persistence in behavior. The first steps may be shaky, but they are necessary for progress. Embodiment does not require perfection but requires consistent repetition and mindfulness in every choice. Embodiment can be seen as the button that activates actualization. It brings beautiful images in your mind into physical reality. In flesh and blood. That is when vision becomes action. When ideals become lifestyle. And when belief becomes an obvious truth, no longer something you pursue, but something you live, breathe, and are. After all that has been explained, from visualizing goals, planning steps, establishing firm intention, to embodying the ideal self, the most important message is, You can master your own reality. You are not a victim of circumstances, past, or social limitations. You are a living broadcasting station. And every thought, emotion, and action you emit sends signals to the universe, shaping the timeline you enter. Power does not lie in trying harder, but in synchronizing mind, heart, and action. When you dare to imagine what you truly desire, feel it as if it is real, and act as if you already have it, you enter a state of co-creation, where miracles are not rare, but an inevitable consequence. The world does not change when you wait for it to change. The world changes when you change yourself. And that journey begins with a simple but powerful decision. Become the person you were born to be, starting now.